You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome in. We are so happy. I'm doing the happy dance here tonight. We are seeing some remarkable things happening in the Watchtower. You have to agree with me, even though I know not everyone does, but many have to agree with me. The Watchtower is on life support. They are dead. They just haven't fallen over yet. We are seeing so much happening in the world of the witnesses. Friends, I love business. I have my own business. I tell you, I have a sign advertising business. And one thing I do know about business, when businesses are ready to collapse, they do strange things. That is what's happening right now in the Watchtower. You'll have to agree with me. They are doing strange things. We'll be talking about some of that tonight. Well, anyways, my name is Rick Farron. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And yes, we do have a lot of apostates, but look, don't you worry. If you don't have any apostates in your neck of the woods, they'll be coming there very, very shortly. There are so many people, as we say, leaving the Watchtower. But, you know, the thing is, I have to tell you something. How are you going to react when you have, your relatives, your friends that haven't spoken to you for 10, 15, 20 years? How are you going to react when they call you on the phone? I mean, they have to eat crow. I mean, don't be mad at them. This has already happened to me. I got a call out of the blue from one of my relatives, or close relatives, that they no longer want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And this is happening. I'm getting people writing me here to the Six Screens saying, Rick, this is happening not only to you, but it's happening to me. So don't you be surprised. You answer that telephone call and kind of write down ahead of time what you're going to say, but don't be mad at them. Be mad at the Watchtower for creating this division between you, your best friends, and your relatives. That's who you want to blame, is the Watchtower. And go gentle, because hey, nobody likes to eat crow. Do you like to admit that you were wrong? Well, we all have like an ego, and we don't want to do that. But let's go light. Let's go light on them. They're basically telling you that you are right, they were wrong. So hang in there. Don't beat these people up. So anyways, let me just think what we're doing here. Okay, let me just discuss a couple of things here with you before we move on with the news. I'm not going to beat this to death, but we do this every week. Well, this is the rubber duck. This is the duck. Now, we have a contest here. We want you to play the contest. Now, if you call into the program tonight, and you say a word that we have here in a secret envelope, then you win a prize. Well, you win a point. What it is, we're on a point system here. And if you can answer, or you at least come up with the word that we're thinking of in the envelope, you win a point. Now, when you get 5 points, you get a book. We got beautiful books here. We want to thank Jim Hill. You know him as Nathan Natus on on JW Talk discussion board. These are the books. Look at this book right here. A People for His Name. This is all about many of the presidents of the Watchtower. We got that book. 5 points is all you need. You get the book. And what about this book? Captives of a Concept by Don Cameron. Friends, this book brought my wife out of the so-called truth. It's a beautiful, wonderful book. You can get this book for 5 points only. And look at this. This is a classic book. Millions Now Living Will Never Die. This is an actual, now look at, this is a replica. Verbatim, every word that was in the original Millions Now Living book is in this book. We want to thank Jim Hill. He's put a lot of effort into he's in Lulu. Lulu is a book company, and he's on his own dime. He gets in there and he orders these books. He republishes them. He rewrites them. He's a wonderful man. We want to thank Jim for what he's doing for us. Now, that is if you get 5 points. If you get just 2 points, and you'd like to have, many people have 2 points already, and you'd like to have some of these wonderful JW magnets. We have got some magnets you can put on your refrigerator to remember how evil and how false the Watchtower has been for years. Look at this one right here, Rutherford's Mansion, the Beth Serene Mansion. Put that on your refrigerator. Let you look at it every day when you're going in to get your orange juice, when you're going in to get your cold water. You can take a look at that and say, what a fraudulent organization. And plus, we have some of the most bizarre and strange teachings put on magnets. So if you got 2 points, we're going to give you one of these magnets. I'll send them to you. All you have to do is write to me at jwworldnews@gmail.com and say, Rick, I've got 2 points. But there are some people that are holding out for the big prize. They're holding out to get 12 points, and you have to keep your own score. I can't do that. I'm too busy. But you have to go on the honor system. If you keep your own score and you get 12 points, we have a woman from California already. I believe she has 8. You get 12 points. You get $100. Now, that is not a bad deal. So we're looking forward to giving that $100 away. Anyways, all right, let's move on. Then the convention, I'm going to talk just about it a little bit. I'm not going to bore you with it. More and more people. Now, some people are already getting their tickets. We have a convention still alive in 2025. Now, that convention's coming up next August. It's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I hope you can make it. We're going to have a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses there, where we're hoping for 500 plus. So far, we have 200 and something about 260 something from last time I counted. And I'm sending tickets out. Some of you guys already have tickets. I sent some out this week, last week. Now, don't worry. I have everybody in my ticket file. So if you've written to me in the past, you'll be getting them in the next week or so. So just hang in there. Don't be impatient. You'll get a ticket. So I've sent some out this week. I sent some out last week. They go out. It's a wonderful thing to be part of this. And we're looking so forward to it. And if you can make it up here to Boston in August, it's a great place to even vacation. Friends, this is where America started, right here in Boston area. Paul Revere, the Revolution, George Washington. Is this ringing a bell? This is where history started. If you have never been up in New England, come up here. You will just go away. Your head is going to be hitting the doorpost on the way out. You're going to say, wow, that was a wonderful time. You could have a vacation up here. Bring the kids with you. Spend 3 days at the convention. And then if all goes well after the convention, we're all going to go out and tour things together, and we'll have a good time together. There's a big meetup after the convention. So by all means, if you could make the convention, do it. We are going to host a convention at the Hilton Hotel. It's right up here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And if you want to get more information, if you want all the information that you can deal with, we'll go to 6greensofthewatchtower.com. And I'm going to it's going to scroll across the bottom here in YouTube in just a minute. Go to YouTube. Go to 6greensofthewatchtower.com. Everything's on there. The hotel, where you can eat, what's around, everything. It's wonderful. So go ahead and get on that, and you'll have all the information you need to sign in and come to the convention. Now, I did want to mention this. I did want to mention just a couple things before we get into the news. Some people say, look at that, Rick, that's a year out. How can I plan on that? Look at if you'd like to come, at least send for the tickets. Get your tickets. And there's a lot of things that can happen between now and next August. I understand that. You're not going to be held hostage. The tickets are free. So go ahead, ask for the tickets, at least get them. But the only thing I would ask is, say 2 weeks before the convention, if you don't think you can make it, please write me and say, Rick, give my ticket to someone else, because we only have 500 seats. So, it could be that. I mean, I'm not trying to look through rose-colored glasses here, but the response I've been getting is tremendous. So, I'm thinking it's going to be a real success, but nobody knows that for sure. But those people calling in, at least calling me and writing me saying, Rick, get me a ticket. It's very encouraging. So go ahead and at least get your tickets in here to 6 Screens. All right. So that is about it for that. We covered the duck. Oh, I wanted to say one thing too. Some of you people have won some prizes here in the past. You won books, these beautiful books that Jim Hill has been giving us, and I mail them out. I get them back. All I ask is for your correct address. Please take the time to make it right, because I got books coming back to me that I mailed out, and it costs money to do that. And I want you to get the book. And you say, well, where's my book? Why didn't Rick send my book? I don't have the right address. Make sure you give me the right snail mail address so you can get the book. So do that for me. That would be good. All right. Hold on one second. Let me just take a sip here. There's a lot to talk about, friends. I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this program now, like I say, going on 20 years. I have never had so much news. And it's all critical news that's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. It's not pretty. The news that I'm picking up on every week, and you guys see it too. I get people sending me news articles every day of the week, 24 hours, 7 days a week. People are emailing me, calling me, Rick, bring this up, bring that up. So I try to run with what I would say the top stories of the week. It's hard to do that. And they're not in order when we go through this program either. But we've got a story tonight. Don't you go anywhere. Don't leave this network, because you're going to hear something tonight, and I want you to comment on it. It's going to rattle your cage. It really will. It's going to be something you're going to say, whoa, is that really happening? Stay with us. But before we get to that story, we got other stories to talk about. Do you know, as a matter of fact, I've been getting a lot of reports coming in here to the 6 Screens, people sending me information about people afraid to go out in service. People afraid to go out in service. I don't know. I never was afraid, but we are having people scared. Frightened to go out door to door. And in fact, even last week's midweek meeting in some congregations, they had a special needs local talk on this. It was about publishers being afraid to go out in service. And why would that be? And this one particular person that gave me the information, he said that they have 125 publishers in his Kingdom Hall, and they all met last Saturday. Now, if you guys remember, we've been talking about this special campaign the Jehovah's Witnesses are in right now. And that special campaign is to go out and get more Bible studies. And nobody wants to do that, right? So there's 125 publishers in this brother's congregation. Thank you, brother, for giving me the information. There's 125 publishers. And so they have the special campaign, but there were only 23 who showed up to go out in service. Now, I can remember when we had the special campaigns, and you guys can remember it too, and we all went door to door with a special message for mankind, right? So, I can remember 50, 60 people showing up, 23 people, that it's not working. And people don't want to go in service. And one of the reasons is because they're scared. They're very scared of going out in service and knocking on strangers' door. Friends, I've been saying right along that the door-to-door work is dangerous. And even I have to say this, that even one of the meeting parts from one of the people who gave me this information, he said they had a talk just on that. And the elder got up, it was a young elder, and he said there's many in this congregation that are afraid, that they're scared to go door to door. Now, when you were a witness, were you scared to go door to door? Were you afraid? I don't ever remember that coming up. But today, when I started doing some research on this, I started seeing, something? I think I would be afraid. I wouldn't want my daughters, my 2 daughters who were pioneers, I wouldn't want them going out. I wouldn't want my wife even going out. I'd feel very insecure about that. So, we have something happening now in the organization that probably has never happened before. And you say, well, what's causing this, Rick? Why are Jehovah's Witnesses, many of them, so afraid? Why are they afraid? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Everyone today owns they own a smartphone, and everyone can see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. They can see in real time, in many cases, as they are here in our program tonight, that the big organization, the Watchtower, is committing all kinds of crimes. And you guys see it too. You say, well, Rick, they are? Yeah, they are. They're committing crimes. Like what? Well, like hiding child sex abuse, like what's going on right now in Pennsylvania. Many elders and people involved with the Watchtower are accused of molesting young children sexually. That's a known fact. Just check it out. Punch into Google right now. You listen to this program, you don't believe me? Punch into Google right now. Put in there Jehovah's Witness sex perverts in Pennsylvania. It'll come up. Why would I want to in any way say it if it's not happening? Because it's accurate information. We have in real time, we have news reports, we have government announcements all about Jehovah's Witnesses. We have witnesses who are being disfellowshipped. They're posting judicial committee hearings that they had on YouTube. People are starting to learn an awful lot about what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So every day, every single day of the week, more and more people are being exposed to the Jehovah's Witness organization. They're being exposed with all kinds of evidence that shows they're hiding so many things. How could they not see it? I mean, there are activists that are protesting in front of conventions. You know that. I do it. There's a bunch of other activists that do it too. They're protesting in front of Kingdom Halls. They're protesting at the world headquarters. And what about governments? Governments are removing their official status in some of these countries as a religion. In different countries are taking away big subsidies that they paid to Watchtower because of their crimes they're committing, really, what they do to shun people and hurt people. So these are all things that is going on behind the curtains. But the thing is here, and why it's so frightening for people to go out in service, is because the world, the householders in your territory where you would knock on doors, they know all about you before you get there. They have come to learn that Jehovah's Witnesses are a very dangerous organization. They have come to learn because everyone has a cell phone, right? A smartphone. So they have come to learn all about Jehovah's Witnesses. So before you even go out to door and knock on the first door, these people know all about you. And many publishers, they are feeling they're taking a big risk by knocking on a door that could be a potential aggressor, one who doesn't like the Watchtower. Friends, that's what's happening. There's a lot of people that do not like the Watchtower organization. It's not just us that have left. We got a lot of people that are hearing this on the news. They're reading newspapers. They're reading magazines. They're realizing how bizarre, how criminal the Watchtower organization is. I mean, it's very, you know what I found very interesting too? And I got some information that came in here, and it was about a brother that was going door to door, and he said something has changed in the last couple of months. He said, they'd go to door. You know how we all did it. We knocked on the door. We hoped to find someone of interest. We left the magazines. And then we made a return visit. We'd come back a week or so later. Hi, Mrs. Jones. I'm Rick Farron. Remember me? I left the Watchtower with you last week, Mrs. Jones. Did you have a chance to read it? Did you read that article about the new system? Well, I really haven't. I checked you guys out online. I don't want to further this. So that's what's going on. People are slamming the door. Think about it. Think about how the world has changed. Now, let's just say that you're still a witness. You go out on the territory, you get your territory card. They send you out to Main Street. You go walking down Main Street, you knock on a door. Hi, my name is Rick Farron. I came here to give you a good message this morning. Did you know that Jesus is ruling in his kingdom? People don't want to hear that anymore. They know who you are before you even get there. You think you're going to get a door slammed on you? If you got doors slammed on you years ago, oh my goodness, I can't imagine how difficult it would be today with doors being slammed on you all over the place. Friends, I'm telling you, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you are listening in to our broadcast here tonight, you always hear me say, and I kind of embellish a little bit. I say, if you want to remain one of Jehovah's Witnesses, send me an invitation to your funeral, because basically it's a death trap. It really is. We've talked on this program about people being shot in service, people being stabbed in service. We talked about Kingdom Halls being bombed. We talked about a Kingdom Hall being shot up. We've talked about all of this. In fact, a number of Kingdom Halls being bombed. So it's not just one isolated incident. This is happening a lot lately. So every congregation, I'm going to say it, you can underline my words on this one. I'm not going to change them. Every congregation in the world is a ticking time bomb. A ticking time bomb that explode at any time. And I'm just thinking, you're saying, well, Rick, you're exaggerating. Come on, lighten up a little bit. I know you got a bone to pick with the Watchtower. Well, let me tell you something. I got a lot of bones to pick with the Watchtower, and you do too. But just think about this. How many mentally unstable ex-Jehovah's Witnesses there are in this cult, and they want vengeance? Now, I don't want vengeance, and I would never, ever, ever say to be violent or hurt someone physically. But there's many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that are mentally unstable, and you could knock on their door and they could unload on you. I mean, really, it's a dangerous position to go door to door. You can say, well, Rick, no, it's not. Well, I'm telling you, things are not the same. It's not safe any longer. Where are all the other door-to-door salespeople? I talked about this last week. Where's the Avon lady? Where's the Fuller Brush man? Where's the milkman? Where are they? Where's the insurance man? Where's the bread man? Where are all these people? They don't go door to door anymore. It's not worth it. Not only that, I mean, I want you just to stop and think about this. Just think about this for a second. You are, when you go knocking on a person's door, you are an uninvited guest. Now, when someone knocks on your door today, I never felt this way, and I'm telling you the truth here. If someone knocks on my door, it's almost like frightening. Who is it? I have to look out the peephole. Who could this be? Friends, with the world we're living in today, you don't know who's knocking on your door. Might be someone trying to rob you. Might be someone trying to do something to you. So it's not like it was years ago. People used to leave their doors open. So when you're one of Jehovah's Witness, you are an uninvited guest. Nobody invited you there. You knock on a person's door. I mean, you are taking a risk. You don't know who's behind that door. You're a stranger on a person's property, and you haven't announced that you're coming. They're scared too. People in their homes, they're scared too that you're knocking on their door. Especially a homeowner in a rural area. They don't know. All of a sudden, someone pulls down their driveway with a bunch of people in a car, a bunch of strangers in a car. I mean, it's a little frightening. It really, really is. And in fact, some information that's coming in here reports that we've gone over the subject before, but I'm going to tell you something. There's been many people that had bad experiences, many Jehovah's Witnesses, including myself, that have had bad experiences going door to door. And, I think when I look back at it now, there's a lot of things I wouldn't do. I can remember in a car group, I'd have, I had a nice van. I had a van, and I'd take out sometimes probably, 6, 7, 8 witnesses at a time. And what I would do is I'd drop some off in certain areas, and then I'd circle around and pick them up a half hour or so later. I wouldn't do that today because, I'm reading experiences here online of people have been dropped off and, the car captain will say, okay, I'll pick you up in a while. And in one particular instance here, two young boys were, left off in an area and they walked in. Well, actually, it wasn't two boys. It was a grandmother. It was a grandmother that was left off with her pioneer partner to do some work. And the car captain drove off. And the two pioneer women went through a fence, to get to the door. And when they opened the fence, the woman was attacked by a pit bull. She was mauled. She broke both of her arms. So it's not safe. Now you say, well, Rick, that's just isolated. If you're telling me it's dangerous going door to door, maybe that's an over-the-top statement. Well, I'm telling you, it is dangerous. It's not safe. You don't know who's behind that door. Geez, it could be an attack dog they let loose on you. It could be someone wielding a weapon. Did you ever have a gun pointed at you going door to door? I have. It's not a good feeling. There's a lot of mentally unstable people out there. I had a guy point the 357 Magnum at me in an old broken down trailer park in Florida. Scared me to death. It wasn't a very pleasant thing. Fortunately, he calmed down a little bit, but to have a 357 Magnum pointing right at your face, it's not a fun thing. So I'm talking experience here, and maybe you guys have experienced the same thing. Now, this is especially, we are adults. I was an adult, but we had children. We brought them out with us. What about the children? Are they protected? The other thing, too, a lot of witnesses are bringing up here, and I want to bring it up to you guys, too, because you'll connect with this. When we all went door to door, back then, I say back then, maybe like 15 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we always felt that there was Holy Spirit. Oh, God's angels, the Holy Spirit, they're going to guide us. We're going to be protected by God's Spirit. Well, this is not the way it is anymore. With all the changes made in the Watchtower, a lot of witnesses feel that God's Spirit got up and left. So they don't feel safe. They don't feel like God's angels or the Holy Spirit are with them when they're going door to door. So it's just something I want to bring up tonight and talk to you guys about. It's not a good thing, but also afraid. I started this off by saying people are afraid to go door to door, scared, frightened. But sometimes it doesn't have to happen from someone waving a 357 Magnum at you. It doesn't happen by maybe a pit bull coming out at you. How about just afraid because you don't have enough knowledge? The Watchtower, and I used to feel this way too. I used to think, geez, what if I really run into somebody like a Bible scholar or a priest or a pastor that has a lot of knowledge about the Bible? And if I knock on his door, do I know more than he does? Well, the Watchtower used to tell us we do. The Watchtower used to say, I remember an elder getting up there on the platform and saying, brothers, don't ever be afraid to knock on a door that you don't have enough knowledge. Don't worry, Jehovah is with you. And being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you are 10 times smarter than any other person that knows the Bible. Statements like that, now I look back on it, I say that's not right to say that. We weren't smarter. Jehovah's Witnesses, they can't even come up with any rebuttal. Remember that? If someone mentioned something or asked us a question and we didn't know it, well, we'll get back to you. We'll go ask our elders and we'll get back to you. Many of us never came back. So, many witnesses are afraid to go today because they don't have the knowledge. The Watchtower hasn't equipped them with the knowledge. They know diddly squat. Yes.
Yes, Rick. On that topic about going door to door,
Yeah.
in a dangerous neighborhood, I was a witness, and I live in a high crime neighborhood. When I used to take the group out, I used to carry knives with me because the neighborhood was that bad.
So you wouldn't say I'm exaggerating then, right?
No, you're not exaggerating. They talk about Jehovah had the angels had out there to protect you. I have knives with me. I remember one time we were out and a brother was approached by an individual wanting some money. I got in my van, turned it on, and I pointed that van at that individual. If you had done anything to that brother, I was going to run him over.
Well, you never hear of this, do you? You never hear, but you're calling in. I mean, you do hear it, but you don't hear about it in the Kingdom Hall. You know?
No, you don't.
No.
No, because you're responsible for individuals you take out in the group, and that responsibility is protection. So I always carried a weapon.
Boy. Well, I'll tell you, in fact, today, brother, many witnesses going door to door. They're probably carrying guns. Really, they're probably armed,
Well,
you know?
Not really, because the majority of them right now are just doing the carpentry.
Right.
Because my wife and my son, they don't go door to door no more.
They do the carts.
Yep. And I'm the one also, to clarify something, I'm the one who left that message on Reddit about the sister that was homeless.
Oh, you are? Yeah, no, I enjoyed that. That was a good. Well, she was actually sleeping out in the woods next to the Kingdom Hall. Is that the one?
Yeah, it was a vacant lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know something? The coordinating elder is my next door neighbor, and only thing he was concerned about her getting hurt and they getting and she's associated with the Kingdom Hall. That's the only thing they were concerned about.
It's just pathetic, isn't it? It's pathetic. Here's a poor woman needed help. You were willing to reach out and offer the woman some help, but the elders were dragging their feet.
Well, you know something? It was miscommunication between the elders.
Yeah.
I had talked to them about this. There was a lot of miscommunication between the elders, the two elders that were handling it, and the two elders that knew about it. But right now, she got some help, and she's off the streets.
Well, good for you. No, that's good. So they finally did come around. It's really, I'm going to use the word unfair, that the witness organization treats people who have fallen through the cracks with a level of disdain. They don't really appreciate, and they can't put themselves in that person's shoes. That woman needed help. She's reaching out, but that's just not the only one I've ever heard of on here. The elders, yeah.
But the thing about the majority of the people in my congregation, the majority of the people in the congregation own property. They own a lot of real estate, especially in the neighborhood I live in. And they have, as a matter of fact, the elder I just told you about had just put an addition on his house. Why would you need an addition on your house when it's only two of you and your wife? And I found out what he was doing. He was running an Airbnb for Bethelite.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to cash in. So in other words, renters to Bethelites only, or to any witness?
Any witness, anybody that comes in the city for a convention or a special talk, he puts them up into his loft
and charges them.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Boy, the stuff that's going on in the witness world today, before people used to do it out of the kindness of their heart. I mean, my mother did it. She was a witness. And I remember at the convention we had at Fenway Park here in Boston that, people come and stayed with us. My mother didn't charge them, but that's what some witnesses must be doing today. I never thought about that. Airbnb. Yeah.
We used to do that too when we had conventions in the city. We used to put up people. But the thing about it, man, I had to walk away from it. And the reason why I walked away from it was about 8 years ago, by 2016, I was overwhelmed. I was doing everything for this organization. I was a photographer for the building committee. I worked did security, the electrical work for the speakers and stuff. On top of being a part of a language group, and had to work 40 hours a week and handle my family. and I was overwhelmed. So one of my Bible studies had became a ministerial servant. So I was like, I'm doing all this work, and he become a ministerial servant. So I asked him why I didn't qualify. And instead of reading me a scripture, the elders pulled out their phone and pulled up an app and said, you're not making a national average every month.
Yeah, embarrassed you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And right there and then, I stopped going.
Good for you.
Yeah. And now, what they're saying, hours don't matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, how does that make you feel after you were reprimanded for it? And how can they get away with all of this stuff without really hurting people? You know, people that have,
Something?
yeah.
But the thing is, recently we had a little get together, and my wife said people wanted to see me. When I left the organization, I was close to 400 pounds. Now I'm down to 262 pounds, and I'm healthy today. Rick, the majority of the people in the organization are run down. They're sad. They're sick. They're falling apart. I mean, I know this one brother, he had to have a leg amputated. Another one had to undergo treatment because he had blood poisoning. They're falling apart. They look sad, man. They look like they're tired. And you know, one thing when they see me, one thing they did not say when you're coming back to the Kingdom Hall. They did not say that to me. Because they know they want to see if it's true, if I'm blossoming, if I'm progressing, and I was progressing. Because before I left the organization, I got caught up in drugs, and I almost lost my life due to suicide. But now that I have the knowledge, and I'm doing better. I'm doing better than the majority of the people in that organization in my Kingdom Hall.
Well, good for you, brother. Now, can we get a name? You don't have to give me your real name, but can we get a name for you?
Yes, I'm the man of lawlessness. I talked to you before.
Oh, no, I do remember man of lawlessness. Well, I'll tell you what. No, you have a way of speaking that really drives the point home. I don't in any way detect any over embellishing or amplifying. You tell it like it is. Now, you were, and congratulations on losing all that weight. Do you think the Watchtower made you get that heavy?
Of course, all the stress, the strain, and it was just a lot of stress being a witness, not knowing when the end's going to come. Always have to do the right and say the right thing all the time. And you always had to present this facade every time you get around the brothers.
Yeah, you had.
I can be my genuine.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, man.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead, Rick.
No, I was going to say that you're always, in fact, I even found myself, and I'll tell you the truth. People would come up to you. You had to be a happy person all the time. And people used to come up, how you doing, Brother Farron? Oh, I'm doing excellent. The world could be falling apart on me, but you couldn't really give your true feelings. You had to always be up and, oh, this is wonderful. Isn't the organization great? You know how that was.
Right. You know how everybody's supposed to be happy when it comes for a convention. You're supposed to be uplifted and everything. I remember one morning, just a couple of months ago, I was waiting for an Uber to go to work, and the coordinating elder and his wife were leaving for a convention, international convention. They looked miserable. They were up early in the morning, and they looked tired and they were miserable. And I was like, I'm not like that no more.
Well, you really, in fact, I'll tell you what, you got my attention here tonight. You really did. You're speaking it like it is. You have seen things that would rock anyone's boat. We all have stories to tell in the Watchtower. It's so nice to hear from you again, man of lawlessness. Now, don't you be a stranger.
Yeah. I want to shout out to a friend of mine, Jimmy Bell.
Oh, you know Jimmy?
What's up, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yes, I know Jimmy.
Yeah.
I know Jimmy. Yes, I visited him last month down in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Bell. Good man. Good man.
Very good man.
Yeah.
Well, sir, it's an honor to speak with you, and you have a nice night.
Well, thank you, man of lawlessness. And don't you ever change. You come back and see us again soon. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, that's man of lawlessness. What do you think, friends? I have to tell you. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it wonderful to have people call in real time and let us know what they think of the Watchtower? Unbelievable. So anyway, we were talking about being afraid in service. You know, he solidified it, right? Man of lawlessness told us he would carry knives when he went out in service. Now, he lived in a bad neighborhood, evidently, or went to in an area where there was bad neighborhoods. But, you know, how would you go out in service today? Would you feel safe? I don't think you would. If anyone wants to speak about that, you're on with us right now. Go ahead, speak up. Is that you, 630? Who's that?
Hi, Rick. It's Mark.
Oh, it's Mark. I thought it might have been you. We got a few people calling in from Chicago. Yeah, things are good, Mark. Things are good. Thank you.
Good to hear, Rick. I wanted to give a good shout out to all the ex-witnesses out there. Hope you're doing all very well in every good way. And yes, you got a great program going tonight, Rick. It sounds really interesting. And yes, that gentleman that was just on was very interesting and really good. Yeah, he had a lot of strong points when he was specifically speaking about how the organization just overwhelms and burns people out and stresses them out and just drives them right over the edge. It's horrible. And I saw that my whole life when I was in the organization, the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was a joke, and I could see that they were nothing but a joke. So and and going out in service was the biggest waste of time in the world. I always hated going out in service, that door-to-door preaching. It was just such a major waste of time. I mean, and to bother people and irritate and annoy and aggravate people, that's wrong. And the Bible even says, doesn't even tell us that's what we specifically have to do. That's the Watchtower always talking. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Rick. That's,
Well, Mark, he brought out tonight that man of lawlessness brought out when he went out in service, he carried weapons. He carried knives.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. Yeah, he carried knives. And that didn't surprise me because I knew, the Lord Jehovah wasn't there protecting everybody. No way. No way. He wasn't there protecting anyone. I knew that was nothing but just a big myth, a big joke. He wasn't doing that. There's no way. There's no way. And I just, I would get so angry and so very pissed off when I would hear from them, including my mother, how Jehovah protects his people all the time. So we're all good to go. Jehovah protects his people. Nothing's going to happen to us. No, nothing's going to happen to us. Especially if I dared, go after them to harm them in some physical way. Oh, don't worry, Jehovah will protect, protect his people. So don't even try it. I'm like, and I don't agree. I highly doubt that ever happened. Why are they always getting shot at? They either get shot, get seriously injured, or get shot and killed. Jehovah was protecting them. No, he wasn't.
Well, no. Well, the thing is, Mark, a lot of people, they look at the 6 screens. They say that we exaggerate, we sensationalize, but we're the first to really come out and talk about things that nobody else ever talked about. You just heard a man call in and said when he went out in service, he was weaponized. He had weapons.
Right.
I mean, we're not, I give the truth to people don't want to hear the truth, Mark,
I know. And you've done an excellent job, Rick. You've been not only 100%, you've been 1,000%, and more power to you, Rick. God bless you in every way. You're doing a really excellent, almost I'd say a perfect job, Rick, because you're really getting the truth out there to people. And I already knew a lot of this, Rick, quite a lot of it. I would say not all of it, but a lot of it. I just didn't know exactly how to go about it because when I would speak up, people would get very angry and pissed off and saying they don't want to hear it, and I'm lying, and I'm just making this up, and I'm just it's being nothing but a big bullshitter, which isn't, obviously it wasn't true, but I had nothing to back me up. I had no one else to actually back me up. So that was a problem, so I couldn't really say too much, back in the day, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, Mark, you're doing good now.
I didn't have, I didn't have anybody on my side. Like I wish I had.
Well, you got people on your side now, and thank you.
Yeah,
Thank.
I did still
Yeah.
spread the word, about the Jehovah's Witnesses, even in when I was still in high school, to avoid them and stay away from them. They're bad news. They're no good, and there's a lot of bad things about them. I would spread the word about that. I stopped preaching to people and kids at school, since junior high. I mean, maybe grade school was the last time I did it, and after that, I never did it again because I knew it was nothing but a waste of time preaching to kids at school. It was not worth it to me. So I think I did them all a special favor.
Well, you did do him a favor. Well, Mark, thank you. Thank you for calling in. We got so many callers, but thank you, Mark, for calling in.
Well, thank you, Rick.
Good to hear from you.
Stay tough, stay strong, fight hard, and please keep the faith, everybody, to all you XJWs out there.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to Linda James. Bye-bye. Linda James, we got Apostle Babe. Go ahead, Apostle Babe.
Hello. So I'm just wanting to talk about this gentleman that just called in, Mr. Man of Lawlessness. So if I'm correct, he kept getting volunteered, to do this and to do that. He's got a 40-hour-a-week job, plus a family. They're running him ragged. And the way he talks, I mean, did you hear this? He's responsible for everybody that's in the car with him. That's a good man, okay? But he brings in somebody into the org who was a Bible study. This person gets to be a ministerial servant, and this man of lawlessness who runs his ass off for everybody. I mean, the org first, right? And an elder tells him he doesn't have enough hours. I'm under the impression, and maybe this is only for elders, that shouldn't some of that he does, the volunteer work, like I've heard from elders that if you give a talk or something, that can go towards your hours. It shouldn't something that he's done to serve the congregation go towards his hours? Like, or do you have to be a man in a position, holding a position for that? I'm not real clear on it, but my God, that's like just sabotaging him. I'm upset about it. I'm just really bothered by it.
Well, no, it could be bothersome, Linda. It could be very bothersome, but I mean, there's so many things. You go out of your way to try to be, when we were all witnesses, to try to be a good witness, and we're never good enough. It's never good enough. There's always something that they're going to come back and hit us with. You right? Jay, it's terrible. Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, good to hear from you.
That just really bothered me, and I had to say something. So yeah. Alrighty.
Well, I'll be in touch with you. I'm working on. I'll call you in the next week or so. We're trying to get you up here for the convention if you can make it. Yeah. So we talked about that. Okay. So I'll be talking with you. Yeah. Thank you. That's Apostle Babe. Very good. Well, my friends, I have to tell you something. You have been hearing people, that man that just called in, the man of lawlessness, the genuine person. We got a lot more people on the line right now. What would you like to say? We got another Chicago call coming in now. I think that's Stefan. Stefan, what's on your mind?
I just for Apostle Babe, I was in the exact same situation. I was knocking myself out, doing everything, and they were even sort of hinting at, fast tracking me to be the minister or servant. And when I say I was doing everything you could think of. And then we had the big merge, where they merged a lot of congregations because the congregations were failing. So you take 3 sort of empty congregations, put it together. And when they did that, I went up to the information board, and I just happened to look up there to get ready for next week's assignment. And my name had been removed from everything. And as a result of that, the new witnesses that had been merged with our congregation, they obviously thought, well, I must be on some kind of reproof. So they all started soft shunning me. So they wouldn't speak. They wouldn't engage on any kind of a level. So this organization is all about using you up. And then when they feel like they don't need you anymore, they'll just discard you and keep right on moving. So this happens pretty frequently.
Well, Stephanie, you're absolutely right. It does. They don't. It's just despicable how they deal with people. People that have given them everything can be a nothing in an hour. You go into a judicial meeting, you gave them money, you went out in service, you tried to do everything you could to make the Watchtower happy. Well, you were caught doing this. You're done. And you reduced to nothing. This is terrible behavior, but that's how the Watchtower deals. Thank you, Stefan. Always good to hear from you. Yeah, so,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know if you heard about this coming up here. We'll talk about this. The verdict in Pennsylvania this week. We know the witnesses, Watchtower, is under tremendous investigation in Pennsylvania. Every single congregation in Pennsylvania is being investigated, put under the microscope by the Attorney General of Pennsylvania. For what, you say? For what? Because of their sex perversion. The Watchtower organization has so many perverts, has so many people, including elders, in charge of congregations molesting children. Molesting children. Friends, this is not just one, it's not just two, it's more than 10, and the numbers are going up. Right now, I believe it's about 16. So they're investigating over 500 congregations in Pennsylvania to see about their records of pedophilia, to see if the congregations are hiding it. And that's what they're finding. Congregations in Pennsylvania hiding child molestation. Anyways, this week, another one. I mean, how many are we going to hear about? But Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I'm reading it right from the paper here, online paper, Attorney General Michelle Henry. Well, she's a pit bull. She's a really good attorney general. And she announced that a Philadelphia County jury has convicted a man of all charges for sexual abuse of a young child in 1998 when the defendant was a Jehovah's Witness congregation member who utilized his position in the church to befriend the victim's family. Friends, this is how pedophilias do their work. They sneak themselves in. They get familiar with, in the name of religion especially. Oh, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm a good man. You can trust your kids with me. I'll babysit your kids. I'll take them in service. This is how things happen. Thank you, Michelle Henry, Attorney General, for coming down on this particular pervert. His name is David Belosa. Brother David Belosa, 62 years old, of Philadelphia, was convicted Monday, that's just last Monday, of 2 felony counts of aggravated indecent assault and related misdemeanors following a week-long trial. Belosa, Brother Belosa, will be sentenced on January 27th. Now, Belosa was arrested last year after the 49th statewide investigating grand jury recommended sexual assault related charges against more than a dozen of Jehovah's Witnesses who were very close to the victims. Now, that was last year. So we're up to about 14 now, about 14 from what I can see here, Jehovah's Witnesses that have been accused of sexual misconduct with children in the Watchtower. And this is an ongoing investigation. Now, the defendant, Brother Belosa, he used religion to befriend a family. Now, how about you? Now, I want you just to think for a second. When you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, did you think that a pedophile could be sitting next to you? Do you think a pedophile could be in your car group in service? I never did. I never even thought of that. But now that I see all of this happening since I got out of the Watchtower, I can't believe this is happening. So now we have Brother Belosa. He's had all these sexual related charges that have been brought up against him, as well as many other Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, what they do, see, like Brother Belosa did here, he used religion to befriend a family, even moving in with them. Oh, this is so dangerous. Jehovah's Witness. Oh, I trust Brother Belosa. Oh, he's such a nice guy. He can come in here. Oh, Brother Belosa, would you mind my kids while they go out to the market basket, please? Would you kind of watch over them and babysit them? Oh, I'd love to do that, Brother Belosa says. This is what happens. So you have all this trust, and Brother Belosa abuses the children in a heinous way, terrible. Young children all over the state of Pennsylvania, all over the world, are being abused by Jehovah's Witnesses, and many of them elders. Attorney General Henry, the pit bull. I mean, she's a wonderful woman. She's really doing her best to prosecute these Jehovah's Witnesses. She said, we have a sworn obligation. We have a sworn obligation to protect our children. And I command the trial jury as well as the grand jurors for their time and attention in this case. So she's happy the jurors found him guilty. Boy, I have to tell you, how many stories you want to read like this every week? How many more Jehovah's Witness perverts are we going to read about? It just, yes.
Hi, Rick. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm listening with sort of a lot of concentration to this because, obviously, as you know, my daughter was molested by an elder. He had a family. He had loads of granddaughters. 2 of them the same age as my daughters. Went to school with my daughters. Was in the same class as my daughter. And then when their mum was basically in a coma in hospital, and I was sat by her side, wondering whether she was going to live or die. He was molesting my 8-year-old daughter, my oldest daughter. I left both of them with him. One was 8, one was 6. I was wondering if they was going to have a mum by the end of the night, and he was molesting them sexually. And it's the one thing that I've got over most of the witnesses, all the hassle I had. I mean, I had lots of hassle from them over the years, especially towards the end, and but that was just minor compared to what they did to my daughter. And I've forgiven them for most things, but that I do find hard. He was a grandfather of he come across as a grandfather. He was an elder. He was, as far as I knew, was respected well. Nobody had said anything. And I actually do honestly believe that a lot of them knew that he was like that. And I think he'd done it in the past. The evidence is starting to come to light. I've had contact with another witness. She claims, I can't say her name because she's still a witness, but she claims that he molested her 8-year-old granddaughter, who she has custody of because for various reasons. And apparently he molested her as well. She has special needs. She's been to the police and social workers, but of course they can't prove it because the girl can barely speak. She's not very good at speaking, but she's convinced that John Bell. I'm going to say his name. Although he's not been prosecuted, I'm going to say his name because he come across as this caring man, and it wasn't anything of the sort. He was just using his position as an elder and as a trusted, family member, to get to other children, and and I'm sure, he's done it many times, and it's just I've seen him a couple of times in the shops as I've been shopping. I really, I'm a Christian, and I'm fairly calm and at peace. When I see him, it does bring back awful, thoughts and memories. I didn't know for 14 years because she wouldn't tell me, because she thought that they would make my life a misery, and I'd end up losing all my friends. And she thought that was anything that was keeping me going after her mum had died. I'm gonna get on. And plus, she didn't think she'd be believed. She didn't think I would believe her, which is really heartbreaking, because I would have done, actually. And we would have left there and then, I don't know, because they've always come first. But anyway, yeah, that's it. I'm going to have to stop because I'm starting to well up. So.
Well, Roland, that's a terrible situation, and my heart goes out for you. And it's very hard to come to grips with that. I can't imagine what runs through your head But that's why I'm so glad now, Roland, we see so many countries are realizing how evil the Watchtower is. But thank you for sharing that story with us, Roland. We really appreciate it. And you're a good man, and we really hope that all good things can work out for you, Roland. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Bye.
All right, so let's see. I think we got Dick Boogie. Dick, you want to come on and say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Just a couple of thoughts that I have. When I became a Jehovah's Witness, I was told that if there's any evildoers in the congregation, that the Holy Spirit would be taken from the congregation. The elders would do an investigation. They would find that evildoer, and they would disfellowship him. So the thought was that everybody in that congregation was squeaky clean. Well, we know today, at least 30, 40 years later, that that's not the truth. Another story that used to pick up in all the conventions was the story of this girl who went alone to a door, and there was two guys in there, and they were just out of prison, and they were both in prison for rape. So they knock on the door, and one guy says, "I'll take it." The other guy was like standing in the shadows. And supposedly the sister made a presentation, and she left. So the one convict said to the other one, a former convict, "Why don't you pull her in here? We could do her." And he said, "Well, there was a big guy behind her." So there wasn't any big guy behind her, but you're supposed to think that an angel materialized and was protecting her. These Jehovah's Witnesses, the ones that do go door to door, aren't being protected at all. Not at all. And I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. No, that's true. I really appreciate you coming on and saying that. Dick, you'll be hearing more from Dick here coming up in another hour or so, right here on Six Screens Tele Network. Got a program tonight, and we're looking forward to his program right after JW World News. Well, things are really happening. Things are really beginning to heat up in the Watchtower. We're seeing many things that are really quite disturbing. I think you'll agree with me. So many changes in the Watchtower. This is not the organization that we all grew up in. We're all seeing it. We're all witnessing it. But, we got the annual meeting coming up. Now, that's going to be October 3rd. That's in another week. Well, about a little more than a week. But that's going to be quite the situation. The annual meeting will be coming up. And, we made some prediction here. There's a lot of rumors, as we said, floating around in JW world. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses are wondering what's going to be said. But the ex-witnesses, too, got a hand on it as well. And we talked about some on YouTube, and others have brought up that, they're going to now celebrate birthdays. Well, I don't think that will happen. We discussed that last week. I know some witnesses on YouTube, and they're doing a good job, all of them. But it's something I don't know. I can't tell you for certainty, but I think they're going to leave birthdays in place. And then we did talk about one meeting a week. Evidently, in some congregations in California, they're already doing this. They're having one meeting a week. But I came across something today, folks, that really rocked my boat. And I think it's going to rock your boat as well. And I think this could be one of the biggest stories of the year right here on Six Screens. I think it could be one of the biggest stories of the year if it happens. And I feel pretty confident this could take place. If not at this annual meeting, in the very near future. And I studied an article in the Watchtower that really gives me the impetus. It gives me the feeling that I can go forward and suggest what I'm going to suggest here tonight. The article is in the December 2024 Watchtower, and there's a whole section, paragraph 9 through paragraph 11, that's speaking about the group that's going to heaven. Now, if I just throw this out on the table, and I said to you, friends, what group is going to heaven in the Watchtower organization? Well, everybody out there would say, well, Rick, that's the anointed. That's the spiritual anointed ones. You'd all say that. Now, this really, I had to go over it and over it, but I come up with a conclusion here. I think there's going to be a big change. I believe there's going to be a big change. Now, in this particular article, again, that's the December 2024 Watchtower, Article 49. And what it goes on to say here, paragraph 9 through 11, those are the paragraphs that got my attention. But what's happening here is very fascinating to me. As I was reading this, they describe that is the 144,000. And, if you're a witness and someone says, well, who are the 144,000? Immediately you say, well, those are the ones going to heaven. So now they do not even mention in the paragraph the number 144,000. Now just listen. They describe it, that is spiritual Israel. And, spiritual Israel, as we always knew, was the 144,000. But now in this paragraph, they are describing it in this 2024 Watchtower December. The little flock, they describe the 144,000, not saying 144,000. They describe them as the little flock, the small group, a chosen few, a limited number. And then it says that is all in contrast to a vast number of people with the earthly hope. Now, we've always known the vast number of people have had the earthly hope, but they're not describing in this Watchtower article, they do not say 144,000. Now, is this enough to raise my antenna? Is this enough to get me thinking in different directions? I think it is, and I'm going to go on. And when I read some more information to you here, I think you'll have to agree with me. Now, all of these descriptions that I just gave you, conspicuously absent is the number 144,000. So this to me indicates, but it's just to me, you might not agree with me, but this indicates to me that they are planning to drop the literal number and claim it is symbolic, as the rest of the world already knows it's symbolic. So we'll go further with this, but just follow me through. Please don't discount this on the surface, because I'm going to give you some information that's going to support my way of thinking. And when I give you this information, you're going to say, geez, I think that could happen. But don't take it to the bank and cash it. Again, I'm just thinking, because the Watchtower doesn't share information with us. We have to extract intelligence, like the CIA. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm just extracting something. I think they're telling us before they tell us, as I always say. So now let's take a look at this. They certainly would be in favor of dropping the 144,000. It would become symbolic, as the rest of the world knows it, and by doing that, it would push the end further into the future, right? Because hasn't this idea of the 144,000 been really creating a real snafu, a real problem for the Watchtower? There's more and more partaking, yet the number's supposed to be going down, but it's going up. And it's just a crazy thing. And they keep moving the goalpost. If you all remember, when we talk about 1914, those who were around, anointed ones in 1914, they were supposedly not to die off before Armageddon. But the thing is, they've all died off. So now the Watchtower is up the creek without a paddle. But let's go further. I think they're going to stop even publishing the number. I can't wait. What they're doing here is they're gaslighting everybody. They're going to say that, well, we never said it was a literal number. That's what I'm thinking. Just like they did with 1975, but we never said that 1975 was going to be the, Armageddon, and the world was going to change, the new system was going to come in. So they could pull the same type of a deal here, but the numbers of the anointed going up is biting them in the butt. They're really in a real predicament. This is something that ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have been complaining about for decades. I know even myself, when I left the Watchtower, I said, this idea of the 144,000 is a crock of baloney. It really, really is. Franz wrote about it. He wrote about it numerous times on how there'd only be so many, and they were all chosen prior to 1935. And the Watchtower has really gotten a real pickle with this. And everywhere else around the scriptures, there in Revelation 14, where they bring this up, is symbolic. So why wouldn't it be symbolic? So the Watchtower's got some fuel here. They have some reasons to run with. This has been a problematic doctrine, and it's been going on for years. And when you stop and think about it, if you stop and think from 33 CE, that's when that was at Pentecost, when Holy Spirit was brought out about anointed and being given the Holy Spirit. If you take 33 and then you go to 1935, they're saying there's only been 144,000 righteous humans that would be anointed. That's preposterous. That's not true. It can't be. So I'm just thinking the next big announcement, and I'm going to give you more reasons. Just stay with me. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to give you more reasons to bring you over into my camp. So I'm saying the next big announcement, and it could be at the annual meeting, is all Jehovah's Witnesses are part of the little flock. All Jehovah's Witnesses are anointed. Now you say, whoa, wait a minute. Let's put the brakes on here, Rick. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a possibility. And since heaven is our calling, we can wait, or we can take one-way ticket to the next memorial. So what they're saying here, well, at least what I'm thinking, is the next memorial, every Jehovah's Witness could be partaking. You say, well, that's never going to happen. Well, I'll tell you what, let me give you some evidence, and I'm going to read you verbatim right from the Watchtower what I saw that got me thinking of this. I'm just thinking, brothers are going to realize that they're going to leave their belongings behind. This is another way for the Watchtower to grab more money. Look, you guys are all going to heaven now, so leave us your earthly possessions. That's a possibility, but it's just a remote possibility. But I'm going to give you sound evidence for you to understand why I came to this conclusion. I'm going to read you right from the Watchtower what it says here, and then I want you to draw your own conclusion. So let's go right here. I'm sure we'll have enough here to talk about, and then we'll open up the phone lines. So in paragraph 11, when Jesus, this is in paragraph, I'm going to read it verbatim right from the Watchtower. This is right from the Watchtower. When Jesus was in Galilee in 32 CE, he was mainly addressing Jews who wanted bread with him. However, he called their attention to something much more beneficial than literal food. He identified a provision. That is Jesus, identified a provision by which they could gain everlasting life. And Jesus said that those who died could be resurrected on the last day and live forever. Now, he was not, this is right out of the Watchtower, paragraph 11, 2024 Watchtower. Jesus was not referring to a chosen few, a limited number. This is what I'm reading from the Watchtower, friends. They're saying here Jesus was not referring to a chosen few, not referring to a limited number, as he did later during the Lord's evening meal. Rather, in Galilee, he focused on a blessing that would be available to all people. A blessing that would be available to all people. It's getting very, very interesting here, folks. All people. What blessing would that be? Right from the Watchtower. In fact, he said, if anyone, and this is the first time ever in a Watchtower publication that I can remember, bold letters. In fact, he said, if anyone, and they put the anyone in bold letters to really drive home the point, to put emphasis on it. He says, in fact, if anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. The bread that I will give you is my flesh in behalf of the life of the world. Now, that's interesting. Anyone in bold. Notice they put the word anyone, as I say, in bold. The scripture literally says that anyone, and that's what the scripture says, anyone that eats of this bread will live forever. So my prediction here is that eating of the bread and drinking of the wine will no longer be limited to just the anointed. Yeah. If anyone eats and drinks the emblems, let me put it this way, Dee. Let me rephrase this. Everyone will eat and drink of the emblems for the first time. I'm thinking in Jehovah's Witness history, it could happen as early as this memorial coming up in 2025. Now, you say, well, hold on, Rick, let's put the brakes on. I can see this so clearly because what really drove the point home here is if anyone, not saying specific ones that have to be granted special privilege and being part of the channel of God. So, and then it goes on to say in paragraph 9, I'm reading it verbatim. I roll it back a couple of paragraphs. The apostles did not grasp it at the time. They didn't understand what the Holy Spirit would be and how they would be anointed. But they would soon be anointed with the Holy Spirit and brought into the new covenant and have a place with Jesus in heaven. Now, friends, I'm not trying to preach to anybody here tonight, but this is a big thing. We have to bring some scriptures into play. So we now have, and in my way of thinking, according to this Watchtower 2024, and for over 150 years, no Jehovah's Witness was really willing to partake. I mean, they were just kind of barred from doing it, and they were, forbidden, so to speak, to eat of the bread and drink of the wine. But John 6:53-57, it directly opposes this concept. The scriptures directly say there that you have to drink, you have to eat in order to see the kingdom. So my prediction, it's just a prediction, don't take it to the bank and cash it, but my prediction is in 2025, everyone will be eating and drinking at the memorial. I mean, that is just unbelievable. You know what this would do if it did happen? I'm thinking it could, but friends, I'm not sure. How can you be sure when the Watchtower doesn't share this? You have to extract intelligence. But I'm thinking, if they change this doctrine, that the 144,000, now it's available, everyone, that's just a symbolic number. It's not literal like we thought. Everyone really can be of the anointed. This could wake a lot of our family members up. How could you possibly bring this upon the witnesses and have them say, what? For many years, I just passed the bread and wine by. Now they're saying I can actually take it. That would be shooting yourself in the foot. So, it's kind of a thing the Watchtower is going to think about. But I also see this could bring them into mainstream Christianity. If they want to be this big JW broadcasting Christian network, so to speak, they're going to have to get what real Christians think. Everyone can shoot the 144,000 doctrine down. What do you think? Is there anyone who would like to comment on this? I mean, I'm really excited about this because I think this is a doctrinal change that could really rock the boat of many Jehovah's Witnesses. Any thoughts on it? Any comments? What do you think, Chicago? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is mind blowing if this is the case, because I came to that conclusion when I left this cult. Because if you go in Revelation and you read the verse that talks about a great crowd. It says that that great crowd, which is what we always thought we were, was standing before the throne of God, which we know is in heaven. So I realized when I left the cult and could kind of read the Bible for myself, that everything we had been taught was a lie. Now, as they slowly start to introduce these teachings, I do think a lot of people are going to realize that everything that they've taught and been running around here in the ministry for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, telling people, oh, you're not going to heaven, only 144,000, you're going to be living here on the earth compared to say conditions. And now you're telling me that that's wrong? So, yeah, I think that's definitely going to wake people up. And the last question is, how is it that Watchtower's new light is Christendom's old light?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Very good. Very good. We really appreciate that thought. Now the thing that would have to be,
Brett?
yes.
This is Chad, and I was just going to say I could see that happen, and I was just wondering how they're going to explain that for all the people who have passed away and how they've kept everybody from partaking over the last 100 years. How they're going to explain that to all these other family members when they pass something like that?
Well, yeah, no, that's that's something that's a darn good question. But in Watchtower's way of doing it, nobody's going to be totally unsettled. They can say that, we made some adjustments on this, but your relatives that have died, they're already in God's hand. They're already in the kingdom of the heavens. And when you die, you will be able to see them again. So it's not going to really take their hope away of seeing their relatives. But I mean, it could be a big change, but they have to look at, they're trying to appeal to the world. And when you have a doctrine that's so screwed up as the 144,000 doctrine, you're not going to get many takers on that. So they've got to move to this mainstream Christianity if they're going to, and you have to do it in steps. You have to do it in steps. You just can't do it all at once. But when I read that Watchtower and I see the word anyone can partake, that raises my eyebrows. That they never made a statement like that. Before they used to chastise you for partaking. Now they're kind of opening up the gates and saying anyone can partake. That's crazy. Thank you, brother. All right, let's go to 614. 614, you're on with us.
Yeah, Rick, this is Michael.
Yeah.
This was the last scripture that I shared with my friend. Remember I told you I have an elder friend that we talked quite openly about everything. And we were talking about the 144,000. And I shared with him this scripture right here. And unfortunately, I haven't heard back from him for the last month or so. And it's very unusual. I felt like I just got cut off, and I just don't know. Maybe he's thinking I'm an apostate and shunning me. He knows my feelings about everything, what I did. We kind of grew up in the witness together. He continued on, and I left. And but I don't want to say too much because you'll know who he is. He was professional, and I don't want to expose his name, but he's a good man. I know he's a good man. And I shared this scripture with him here. And I asked him, I said, Mark, if I went to a Bible-believing church and I took the wine and I took the bread according to this scripture, would you consider me a brother in Christ, or would you consider me part of a evil organization? And I never got an answer, and I never heard a word back. I'm kind of a little heartbroken about it, to tell you the truth.
Well, Mike, when you're in your own, you're a smart guy. You're on the ball, and what you heard here tonight, would it sound sensible that they could drop that doctrine and say it is symbolic?
Oh yeah, it would sound sensible to me. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because what it is. If they want to remain in religion, they are losing it. Geez, every time you turn around, all you hear is negative stuff. If they're going to create this media center and up there in Warwick or Ramapo, if they're going to create this media center, People aren't going to buy this. People understand the Bible to some degree, and they know that that's not right. That there isn't two classes of Christians. You're either a Christian or you're not. This idea of, well, you're going to be a class that lives on earth and you're going to be a class that lives in heaven, that's phony baloney. That's cult thinking.
Yeah.
It's wrong. So they got to.
And once you study the history of how that came about, that came about because actually of false prophecies from way back when. So they had to come up with two different classes.
Yeah.
And once you understand that, then it's kind of easy to say, hey, this is phony baloney, like you just said.
Yeah. Well, I remember, Mike, in fact, it's so funny. I talked to a man once, and I had a person with me that was of the great crowd, and I, of course, was anointed. And so the man's listening to us, and he says, so you say you're going to live on earth, he said to this woman I was with. So you're going to live on earth, but Rick says he's going to live in heaven. He says he never really heard that before. But he says, if I had to pick one or the other, he says, I'd go to heaven. So, I mean, people, when you stop and think about it, they always held this prestigious view of the anointed, that they were far and above everybody, even though they said, well, they're not special, but in the witness world, they were. And now, if they can make everybody special, I don't think people are going to balk at that. I think they're going to say, wow, I'm anointed now too,
And we are special. We're with Christ. We are special.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I don't know. Even when I was a witness, Rick, and I don't know if you felt this way or not, when they passed those emblems in front of me and I passed them on, I never took. I always felt a little bad, to tell you the truth. I felt uncomfortable. Did you ever get that same feeling?
Well, of course, yeah. When I once been partaking, but after a while, I said, no, really. I said, I was reading the Bible on my own, and I saw that it was all symbolic, and I saw the Watchtower's false teachings. So I said, well, really, I'm not going to go along with their way of thinking. It's foolish. I feel that if I really want to connect with the kingdom, I'm going to partake, and I did. And so I went and took. And this is what many witnesses, why has the numbers been going up? Now, last year, there were over 20,000 anointed ones that partook in the Jehovah's Witness religion. Back in 2005, when Satan kicked me out of the organization, there was only 8,000. So why have the numbers gone up like 12,000 since then? Because, people are waking up. They're saying, you must drink of this to have life. So the Watchtower is going to have to make a big change. Now, I'm not, don't anyone hold me hostage. I told you, I'm thinking this. I don't know for sure, but, I'll hear, Rick, you said that. I'm not going to say it for sure, but my mind is leaning in that direction. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for coming on. Let's go to Dick Borgie. Dick, what do you, let's go to Eric. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If they make this change and everybody partakes, wouldn't this kind of destroy their faith of people going to heaven, like a special class? And the governing body wouldn't be so special anymore if everybody was partaking. Like, wouldn't this debunk everything that they, like, it would destroy their entire faith, wouldn't it? Or am I not looking at this right?
Well, no, you're absolutely looking at it right. But I think there's an...
I can't see the governing body giving up their power. Because they want to be special. They would. How would they prove to the people that they're going to be? I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, but how would they prove to the people that they're like providing the food?
Well, Eric, let's start with this.
The slaves. How would they prove to the slaves?
Well, the question would be, now, Eric, you were in a body shop. You worked hard. You thought about even at times starting your own body shop. There are many body shops that go out of business. There are many businesses that go out of business. Now, what I'm going to speak up here and say is that when a company is going out of business, they will do anything. They will radically change everything to still stay in business, whatever it takes. It's either swim or drown. So the Watchtower right now is trying to stay alive. They still do have many witnesses. They say 9 million. I'm not sure, but say 9 million. They want to keep them. They realize there's so many people leaving right now. I mean, there's upwards of 4 or 5 million people who are on the edge. They don't believe this. They're in the PMO class. So they're going to do everything, and they're willing to take some monumental moves to try to save this. But people, how if they claim to be Christian, which they're not, but if they're going to be a Christian religion, it's the same thing with the Armstrong group, that they had to make some monumental changes in order to survive. And that's where the Watchtower is now. They're going to have to become more like real Christians, and they're willing to sacrifice it. There's going to be people move. There's going to be people upset with it, but it might keep them in business. That's my thoughts, Eric.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that too, but that's a good point, Rick. I just, it's just very bizarre to me. Maybe it's what Anthony Morris said, in his last talk. He said that, something about, it was almost insinuating about the governing body being wrapped in smoke. That was a leaked talk, his last talk, but it was leaked. It never got out. And maybe they are wrapped in smoke. Maybe they're so worried and upset and stressed out from losing their power that they're just doing the most retarded moves. Maybe Anthony Morris was like, there's no way. Maybe he was completely against it if a change like this would ever happen, because I can't see him. That this is a major like faith change. If they did that, I think they'd rock a big boat. Rock the boat pretty big.
Well, they will rock. They will rock it. And they would lose a lot of people. But Eric, I'm going to tell you something. The Watchtower is in difficult straits right now. Really, they're hemorrhaging. They're losing so many people. They're going to try whatever they can to keep themselves in business. Was Dan Clark on? Dan Clark, you on with us? If not,
actually, it was me. I was going to mention about that. Kind of how I felt about Armstrong is that once he died, I think that they just couldn't be as powerful and strong in their presentation. They couldn't put out the news the same way, the radio broadcasting the same way. And so that little change caused the whole church to just feel like we can't keep doing this. We don't have that kind of power and authority like these guys had, and we're toast. We can't keep this up.
Gonna die anyway.
So I think that the governing body, they're getting older, and they're losing them. And they're losing their power because they're getting older. And I think that everybody's starting to crumble at the top. And so they're afraid. So Worldwide just crumbled and said, let's just turn these guys over to Christianity. And that's what they did. They switched everything out, and then they divided the church up. And I feel like the assets too. That's it.
Well, Angel, that I was thinking of you today when I was going over this. I says, that's what's going on. That's what happened in the Armstrong movement, that they had to change. And, if you got something that's totally false, and you got the internet now, and you got people examining things, you can look stuff up in a minute and find out how wrong that is. They can't get away with these lies. So they're going to have to bend a little bit. In fact, a lot, and change a lot of their doctrine if they're going to survive. Angela, always good to hear from you. Thank you. So let's go to, you want to say something else, Angela?
Hey, Rick, it's me, Pixie.
Oh, Pixie. Okay, go ahead, Pixie.
Yeah, you and I, we know the Greek, and we know that all are supposed to partake. We know that. But it's interesting to me if they put that in all caps in the magazine. That's a first.
That's what rocked my boat. I couldn't believe it as I was reading it, and they made it in big, bold print. Anyone. Now, they've always said before a select group, but now they're saying anyone. That, and they didn't mention it.
Shocker. That's a shocker. Even though it is biblically correct, it's a shocker for them. Now, the Paradise Earth idea goes back to the ancient Persians and the Episcopal Church in the Tudor time of Elizabeth I. They taught 2 classes briefly. So the witnesses aren't the first to do it, but it is so unusual. What I'm also seeing is October 1, they're going to have that that UN treaty, they want to have a more bigger, homogenized religious system worldwide. So this may be putting the witnesses in the more general Christian basket, so to speak.
Well, Pixie, just common sense. I mean, you're a smart woman. You can do your little figuring. You can figure things out pretty easily. But they've got to do something. I mean, they've been playing around with the generation. They don't know what to do with that. Let's just call it the overlapping. That's getting them in trouble. This 144,000 is getting them in trouble. The idea of beards got them in trouble. The idea of counting time to be a good witness got them in trouble. All of this stuff, the women not being able to wear pants got them in trouble. That they got to get rid of some of this foolishness. If they're going to get into mainstream or at least appeal to anybody, who would want to be a Jehovah's Witness today with all these stupid rules? Well, you can come to the memorial, but don't partake because Jesus doesn't want you to. Come on, this is all crazy stuff.
Anyway, they're going to have that. They're going to have that treaty October 1, and they're going to have more telling the world how they need to think, do, and be. So just know.
Well, Pixie, good to hear from you. Thank you, Pixie. Thank you. Yeah, let's go to Dick Borgie. Yeah, Dick, go ahead. What do you have to say?
Yeah, thanks, Rick. You know, I just want the audience to know that if you are an anointed Jehovah's Witness, you're counted as the 144,000 that are going to go to heaven. Everybody else that refuses the emblems, well, they're supposed to be on the earth. But there's another group that refuses the emblems, and that's the Satanists. So the Jehovah's Witnesses who don't consider themselves anointed, they're in lockstep with the Satanists. Thank you.
Well, good comment too, Dick. Let's go to Apostrophe. Linda, what do you have to say?
Hello. So I love that we're entertaining these thoughts. What came to mind is when you talked about spiritual Israelites. I know that in the history of the organization, they've talked about the mediator is only for those that are spiritual Israelites. That's how they put it, so that you know that it's the 144,000. But if everyone is considered spiritual Israelites, then Jesus gets to be the mediator for everyone.
Well, that's exactly.
And the oracle take that place.
That's true. That's how you would read it, Linda. What you're saying, yes.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking.
Well, no, it's a good. You're thinking good. You're thinking in the right direction. I mean, this idea of two classes. We get one class that seems to be more spiritual than the others. Do people, a genuine person who wants to connect to the Watchtower and wants to really understand the Bible, and they do a little reading on their own. And today you can do that. You don't have to go to a Bible bookstore. You can find all of these versions online, and you can see that the New World Translation, they use wording that would fit their agenda. But, today, the internet, smartphones, everything is opening up a whole new avenue. People can see what the Jehovah's Witness religion is. It's false Christianity, without a question. Thank you, Linda.
Sure. Bye-bye. Hey.
Yeah, let's go to, let's do this. Let's go 813, run with us. That's Scott. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, it is. It's Scott. I just want to say, I think you're on to a very good idea. I mean, I like it better than the idea of them canceling a birthday or something like that, which I think would be a little more major. But I could easily see them saying that the 144,000 is a symbolic number, because that would also allow them, because of their extension of the whole generations prophecy, to allow for more brothers and sisters to claim to be of the anointed and to continue to extend those generations for as long as they have to. But I could see them leaving it as a matter of conscience. It's up to you to decide if you're a member or not. I think they're still going to keep the two classes. I just think they're going to make it a little more optional, and they're going to leave it a little more open-ended, and that way it just fits the whole generation narrative that allows them to go out like another 100 years.
Well, Scott, that's good reasoning. I didn't think of that. I didn't, but that's a possibility too. Everything else, yeah.
I think it could fit. I think they could get away with it, even though, some people may not like it. They might be able to get away with that one.
Hey, that's a good one. In other words, leave it up to your conscience like everything else,
Yeah. Thanks, Rick.
Well, good comment. I really, really do like that. All right, let's go to, yes, go ahead. You're on with us.
Yeah, Rick, this is Man Lawlessness again.
Yes.
Yeah, I just found out this week my mom, before she died, was partaking of the emblems. This is a woman who never pioneered. She talked about everybody in the Kingdom Hall. She was hateful. She was evil, and she loved money. Loved money. She did. I mean, she had scams to get money, but she was partaking of the emblems.
So that shocked you?
It did shock me because, like I said, she put me on to a lot of things. Like she told me pioneers was never mentioned in the Bible. She knew that. She knew that the organization was begging too much for money, but she go in lockstep with the organization.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, did you, now that's your mother, and you got to love your mother, even though.
No, I don't love her.
You don't love her?
She hated me.
She hated you? No. Okay. Well, that's okay. So, I mean, the question I was going to ask, do you think it's possible she could have been, did you think that she accepted Jesus and could have went by the real teachings of the Bible and did become no, she didn't. Okay. I'm just asking. Okay. Yeah.
No, because the last conversation she had with me was I was outside her house. She knew I wasn't coming back to the organization. She told me that Russell was the JW was the only religion that accepted black people. And I had to tell her that Russell and Rutherford were presidents against blacks. They taught that the black race was wasn't a superior race. And I had to tell her that.
Well, that's so okay. So in other words, you got it. So it's a shame that your mother had to head in that direction. So you think she fell head over heels for the Watchtower?
Of course. But you know something? I realized something. I did a lot of research on a lot of witnesses who remain witnesses in their old age, and on their deathbed, they realized that they wasted their life. My mom had died alone in quarantine in the hospital. She died by herself, all by herself. And I bet she realized that there was no Jehovah.
Well, that's sad. We hear that a lot, brother. We hear that a lot. Well, thank you. Thank you for giving us those thoughts on your mother and becoming anointed. Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, let's go to 213. You're on with us, 213. What do you have to say, John?
So, Rick, are they going to get rid of the Paradise Earth doctrine?
Well, don't hold me to it, like I say, but here's what they would do. Now, John, just follow this through. If I was a governing body member, I could make it seamless. I could make it so that there'd be no problems with Paradise Earth. Brothers and sisters, in our biblical understanding, as we're getting closer to the end, we now realize, and we're going to make some adjustments here in our teaching. We've been teaching that Paradise Earth is where all of us would be and be with Jesus and be with Jehovah. But now we realize that, we now have a new understanding that all of us at Paradise Earth is basically a heavenly kingdom. And we will, they could do it easily, John. And it's not going to really disappoint anybody. What's the difference between living on Paradise Earth or living in a heavenly kingdom? What's the difference?
But now the thing is, are they going to teach that the earth is going to burn up like most churches teach?
Well, that's what most churches teach. It's because they take that from Peter, and most teachers do realize that it's going to land up in an engulfment of flame and burn up. So, these scriptures are there. That's what basic Christianity does teach. So, this is why, as people are getting smarter, and I think you'll agree with me, John, people are getting smarter today. I'm going to tell you something. With the smartphones, the computers, Google, AI, people are smarter than they've ever been in the world, ever in the history of mankind. We are more smart today than Harvard graduate people were 20 years ago, 10 years ago. We've got Google. That's our second brain. You want to find something out, in a minute you can find it out. So they're finding out about the witnesses. The internet is the great equalizer. It's destroying the Jehovah's Witness religion. They better change fast. They better change their doctrines fast. People understand it's a joke. It's a joke. Thank you, John.
So
yeah, go ahead.
What Watchtower article did you see that all can partake?
What's that?
What Watchtower article was?
That's a December. You can look it up online. Go to jw.org. December 2024 study article, paragraph 9 through 11. That's where you're going to find it. And when you see the word anyone in bold print, that, I hit the roof when I saw that. I hit the roof. Yeah.
So now, yes, all is going to happen at the annual meeting in the next month, huh?
The annual meeting next month. Now go with me with this. I want to really say that this is going to happen, but I'm not sure. But I know people say, Rick, you said it, but I am saying it, but I'm not sure. But I'm almost willing to. I'm going to let's go with percentage. I'm going to go 70%. There's 30% of me that still has reservations, but I'm going to put 70% on the line here. I think 70% that doctrine is going to be changed very shortly.
A lot of witnesses going to wake up, I believe.
Oh, it'll wake them up like crazy. There's some that they're just going to pack their bags, but there's others that are going to go, wow, honey. Now, just imagine a couple hearing this, that anyone can partake. You don't have to be, anointed class. Oh, honey, we can go in there now. We can partake as well. Even the kids, if you stop and think about it, if they're old enough, I wouldn't want a 10-year-old kid partaking. But if they're old enough, they'll partake. Thank you, John. Go ahead. You're on with us, sister. Go ahead.
Hi. Sorry, Mother Tone. I took it now. What doctrine is going to change?
I'm just thinking out loud. I'm suggesting that they're going to change the doctrine, sister, on the 144,000. We all know, and any. Well, don't say really, because I don't know it's really true. I'm just saying I think this might happen. Mm-hmm. They're changing so many. They're changing so many things already, but we all know that it's symbolic, that number. We know there's way more Christians than 144,000. That's foolish. And the world is understanding this. And in order to get new members, and in order to keep people from drifting away from this screwy organization, they gotta tell the truth.
The thing is, that teaching was changing anyway. Like, under, I think, Warsaw, all Jehovah's Witnesses were born again Christians. It's when Waterford came, he changed it. And so it's only 144,000 that are going to heaven, and the rest are going to be in the earth. So if they change it again, then that's going to be a back and forth thing. What the heck is that?
Well, they're famous for flip-flops, but this is what we're thinking tonight. But I'm not sure, but I'm going to put a 70% number on here. I really think that they got to do it. They're dead in the water. They can't continue with some of this foolish doctrine. They've been testing the waters. They tested it with beards. Now a brother can have a beard. They tested it with women wearing pants. And I think they're just testing the waters here. They got to get rid of some of this foolish doctrine. It's not sensible. It's not Christian. It's not. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, it is. You're right.
Well, good to hear from you. So always good to hear from you. You're a good woman, and don't you ever change, as we say.
You.
Thank you. All right.
You.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Rick is Zachary.
Zach, yeah, what do you think?
Hi. I'm not lying. This week, I don't know anything about this, but this week, this was all on my mind. I was trying to count up the number of people that came in the first century, and I think it's in Acts where it says 5,000 souls were added one time, and then another time there were 3,000 souls added, and how many souls were added through the centuries, so that the 144,000 that the witnesses tried to hold on to, it really doesn't work. But let me say this about what I've heard from Fred Franz and a sister who used to be in my congregation when I was a kid. Fred Franz used to make the point that it used to be believed that all the witnesses were going to go to heaven, but the great crowd was going to be like a secondary, less faithful class, almost like a servant class of the faithful ones, of the 144,000. And at that convention where I think it's 1935, where they said, who wants to live on the earth? Who wants to this? Who wants to that? And he said, stand up. And all these people stood up. And that's when he said, behold the great multitude. And that was the message that they were no longer believed to be going to heaven. They would be living on the earth. We had a sister in our congregation when I was a kid, and she was at that assembly, and she said that she used to partake of the emblems, but she never felt right. You know, as a witness, she partook with everybody else. And she said she never felt right. And she said when they made that announcement, behold the great multitude, and they realized, you know, in their belief of the doctrine, they realized they would be living on earth instead of going to heaven. She said she cried because she felt so good, knowing she felt like that was her place on the earth. But in 2007, around 2007, the Watchtower had some kind of an article where it said that it is possible, if I'm remembering correct, that the 144,000 never had been totally filled according to their doctrine, the way they believed before. But I think that article, they were under pressure to start changing because they were starting to have these new governing body members who their ages didn't add up to having been baptized before 1935.
So, Zach, what would be the bottom line? Do you think that it would be possible they would change it?
But, Rick, I think anything is possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. I can't fight this one.
No. But what it is, Zach, is, you know, what the Watchtower, what they're trying to do right now, and it's not just the governing body, but that they've hired outside personnel to come in and help them, and the outside personnel, counselors, call them what you want, they're saying, look, you got to change some stuff here. You're not going to continue on. It's just like a business that's failing. They call in experts that say, you got to change this, you got to change that. That's what's going on in the Watchtower, Zach.
I also think with the way this end keeps delaying, you know, the Armageddon keeps delaying, those old doctrines no longer hold up. You know, they were wonderful as long as Anointed, the number of partakers was decreasing every year, but it hit like resistance in the late 80s. And after that, 2007, that's when you see, I think you see increases like never before in just the number of partakers. So, you know, the doctrine doesn't fit anymore.
Well, it's happening in a natural way. Like I say, when Satan kicked me out of the organization back in 2005, there were, I believe, 8,370. I mean, don't hold me to it, but somewhere around there, anointed ones. Say 8,500. Now, last year, there was, I believe, 22,000 people, Jehovah's Witnesses, that partook. So this is going to be really a thorn in the side of the Watchtower. This is not supposed to be happening. So, geez, we got to do something, you know?
But one of the things that has contributed to these increases in partakers is the article that they published in 2007. I would think that if you were to graph the number of partakers every year from maybe 1960 to now, you might find a decrease, and then around the 80s, you see resistance. And then after 2007, you would start to see it's an exponential increase in the number of partakers a year.
Well, it would be frightening. In other words, if you had a doctrine based on the fact that the anointed would be going down each year, and yet all of a sudden we have the anointed going up, that would be a little upsetting to that doctrine. It's not working. We better do something fast because people are catching on, you know?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Zach.
Well,
yeah.
And thanks so much. I really enjoyed your presentation of this subject. This was really interesting. And it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, thank you, Zach. You're a good man. We always love to hear from Zach. And a lot of people do, too. I get a lot of comments. They love to hear from Zachary. Thank you, Zach. All right.
Thank you.
Let's take a look here. Let's see. Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Rick. Was somebody else wanting to talk? It's Dan.
Oh, Dan, I want to hear what you have to say. I know you're sitting on your seat. This is really rubbing you in the wrong way.
Yeah, it's interesting how they're using Jesus, you know. I thought of a couple things. A few things I thought about is they continue to elevate the status of the people. It's like, they went from, you had to have 60 hours to be a pioneer. Now it's 30 or something. Pretty soon it'll be anybody that wants to be a pioneer. I actually watched the governing body say that the other day on jw.org. He said, whether you go out 30 or 60, we hope you pioneer this month. And then what they did, Rick, was elevate the status of the elders. I think it was the late 80s. They told them, you're going to be princes in the earth. When the generation prophecy started to fall apart and the overlapping, all of a sudden they came out of their closet and they said, you're going to be princes in the earth. And they elevated their status. So I'm seeing them now elevate the status again by saying you can drink the wine and eat the crackers. And it's interesting. A lot of them buy it. When the meeting attendance went down, we saw witnesses out in the street and they're saying it's so wonderful now. It's wonderful. And now they're getting to eat the crackers. But I got to say this, Rick, here's the thought I want to make. You're not going to get life by eating crackers and drinking wine. The governing body have been eating crackers and drinking wine forever. You know what I mean? Falsehood can't participate with light. And Jesus said, turn around, repent. He didn't say, he said, many would come in my name and eat crackers and drink wine and do all that bullshit. But the truth of it is, Rick, the truth of it is, we got to want to do right. We got to have a change of heart. The whole thing about the wine and the crackers is that our heart would move. It would be a transformation, an internal transformation. It wouldn't be a front. And so I'm watching witnesses, the organization be a front. How can you say you're following Jesus? Hey, we're going to give you crackers and wine now, and you're going to be a part of the anointed. They're not going anywhere. Jesus said many would come and say, I did this and I did that and we did this. But the truth is, Rick, they're corrupt. They've got pedophilia running in there. They're fighting. They're destroying families. How can that participate with Jesus? How can that participate with righteousness? How can righteousness and darkness share the same thing? So I just want to say, no matter if they give them crackers, wine, I'll tell you what they're going to do next. Here's my bet, okay, Rick? Yeah. You had your bet, right? That here's my bet. They're going to make the kids elders. The Mormons do that. The kids got these big badges on them, on these white shirts, they're black lapel emblems, and they're called elders. And when I talk to them, I'm like, you guys are elders? You're only like 15. Yeah, we're elders. What would you like to know? It's status, Rick. It's ego. If you give people this ego status, well, I became an anointed today. Could you imagine, Rick, talking to them now? You know, the brothers that are in their ego consciousness, saying, Well, actually, I partook today. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Does that sound right, Rick, to you?
No, it doesn't, Dan. What you're saying here is absolutely correct. Crackers and eating those and drinking the wine isn't going to do anything if you're not a sincere, godly-minded person.
How can they go out there? It's like I said, how can they be false prophets, promote, Rick, they're not even talking about Jehovah anymore when they go out there. They're talking about JW.org. They don't talk about Jehovah. I've been to 3-4 carts, and they won't say one word. Everything you want to know, sir, is on JW.org. I don't want to talk to JW.org. See, so they're not even promoting Jesus. They're not promoting Jehovah. They're promoting JW.org. That's why every one of their banners, all their websites, everything on the Kingdom Halls, JW.org. How is that? How do you participate with Jesus? You know what I mean? The Jesus, the born again moment you have interiorly. That's where life comes from. It's from the inner transformation, not the outward display. Because if it was true, Rick, if they could have life by drinking crackers and wine, wouldn't the governing body all be going to, wherever they say, to heaven or wherever, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would.
So anyway, that's just what I wanted to say, Rick. It's using the name Jesus. And I think Jesus would be appalled. I think he would just say, get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. You guys are lawless. You have not repented. Rick, me and Angela today wrote a letter to the Attorney General, Michelle. What's her name, Angela? Henry. Michelle Henry. And we wrote, think about this, Rick. The Watchtower is doing civil. They're paying these people off. When you have a problem with pedophilia, you, as a congregation, as Jehovah's Witness, are to make a public announcement. The organization. And if you have a pedophile in your house, you're supposed to put a placard over the front of your door. So when people come to your door, that's why a lot of them, live on couches. I'm just saying not every one of them. I'm just saying a lot of them will live in a place where they really don't have an address. And I'm not saying that's everybody. So I'm just saying that's the case because you have to identify yourself as a sexual offender. And so why wouldn't Watchtower, if they were responsible and they really cared for the public and the safety, why wouldn't they put a thing over their door and say, we've got pedophiles in here? I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Michael Moore, before he died, he called me and he said, Dan, call the congregation. There's an elder pedophile. He had the box, he had the name, everything. He said, call the congregation and tell them to make an announcement that there's a pedophile in the congregation so that the people would know. So, Rick, if somebody was really following Jesus or following God, their heart would be moved to make that announcement, or to tell the pedophile that he has to stay in this room and be watched, maybe quarantined, and he could participate. But there would be some recollection. I mean, they make an announcement if we do any kind of falsehood, if we go out with a girl or date, we get conduct on becoming a Christian. But he said he had a whole box of pedophiles. But Rick, if you were responsible as a religion, you would make an announcement to like the people in Pennsylvania. We have a problem here. Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? And see, that's what real Christianity does. It will do the right thing. It won't have a pretense of crackers and wine and so many hours. It'll really want to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. We're not even doing it. You don't do this stuff to get to heaven or get a place here. You do it because you are moved in your heart to do the right thing.
Well,
that's what I want to say. I get upset, Rick, just watching them. This Jesus card. It's a Jesus card, I call it. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, that makes sense, Dan. What you just said is very, very sensible. I don't discount the thing you said. And when you come on, the numbers go up here. Keep up the good work, Dan. We love you, buddy.
Okay, thank you. We love you too, Rick.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mike, I'd like to comment to that, please.
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
Yeah, calling it wine and crackers, I got a little disrespectful to me. I have to tell you what this is all about. It was the Jewish Passover. The blood was put on the doorpost, and it protected the people when the death angel came through. And then when they were in the wilderness, the bread, the manna came down from heaven, and it fed the people. So when Jesus was at the Last Supper there at the Passover deal with his disciples, he took the wine and gave prayer, and he said, "Do this now." You was doing it in remembrance of the death angel in the Passover, but do it now in remembrance of me. Mm-hmm. And he passed the bread, and he said, "Do this in remembrance of me, because now I am the life giver, and my blood has been shed for your sins. And I have opened the door for anyone to come and accept him and be a brother in Christ." And it's not wine and crackers. It's serious stuff. It's your life.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Michael. Good to hear your comments. Let's go to 315. We got 315. Yep, go ahead. 315. I think that's Joe and Fran. I think. Yep.
Hello.
Yes, Joe.
Rick?
Yes, Joe. I think that's Joe and Fran. Joe, you on?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yes, I can. Yes, you're all set, Joe.
Oh, thank you. I recognize the depth of feeling of your callers coming in, Dan and Michael. I also have to recognize the depth of feeling that billions of other people on earth have who don't have any clue about who Jesus is. And I cannot discount the beliefs that they have, the sincerity that they have. I can't discount it. And I also have to acknowledge that the discussion that you're having about Jesus and Christianity may just simply be the discussion that you have because you have Christian beliefs. And now those other billions of people don't have Christian beliefs. I have to acknowledge that they're regarded by their maker as well. And I would be very careful to act or think that they're not regarded as highly as anyone who believes in Christianity. I think we may find that there's something called the Great Letdown. It's just something that's on the scene now. I do more research than I care to do sometimes. And we may find that what we believe Christianity to be is not what it really is, even though there's very sincere beliefs about it. Your beliefs are very sincere that you're expressing. But you may find what with the deeper research that's being done, that it's not exactly what you think it is. It may be kind of a shocker to find out that it's much different than what you think Christianity is. Just something to put out there. Those 2 points. Number one, billions of other people are sincere and they don't, acknowledge Jesus. I'm sure the Creator acknowledges them. And number two, Christianity may not be what your beliefs hold it to be. I just wanted to let that out there.
Well, Joe, we've heard that before. A number of people called in before and said that. I'll tell you what, there's a wide spectrum of belief in Christianity. It goes from A all the way up to Z. But, there's only two roads. There's only two roads one can get on. And, you can get on the right road or you can get on the wrong road. There's only two roads people can get on. I'm going to try to get on the right road. I might not understand it entirely. I might not get the concept of it all. But I know that if there is a God, as we understand there could be, being a witness, one has to come to grips with that. And if Jesus was the individual that we understand him to be, there is a road that we can get on that could bring us goodness. But then there's another road that we could get on that could be destructive. So there's only two roads. I'm going to try to get on the right road I mean, there might be a lot of discrepancy, there might be a lot of misunderstanding, but my endeavor in the world of Christianity is to get on the right road. And if nothing else, it can give you hope. It's an insurance policy. I want to have a contract with Jesus. Whether it's as according to the internet, there's many things. Well, it's false. It's this. It's that. But at least I'm going to get on the right road. That's the road I want to be on. But I'm not going to condemn anybody that doesn't. So, but thank you, Joe. I appreciate your comments. Yep. All right. So, anyways, you're on 6. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Rick, it's Zachary again.
Well, hold on. Hold on. We got Tim. We got Tim from Australia. Tim from Australia, come on with us.
Thanks, Rick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to comment so much as to what you're talking about. I will say that it's kind of funny to have a heavenly and earthly hope anyway, because if they want to take the Bible literally, it does say that heaven and earth would be joined. So kind of together. But aside from that, I'm just going to talk about how it would go down with the rank and file if they were to change their belief. And the governing, I would think that the governing body would just do the usual gaslighting, that if you can't adapt to changes, the problem is with you. And so they get that social pressure that if anyone dares to speak out of line, they're not following the organisation. And that keeps most of them in there anyway. So at this point, if you're still part of that, you nearly believe everything they say, and everything that they say that's new light is good news. And if you dare to say anything against it, yeah, you're speaking out against God's channels. And that's kind of how they keep. It's a brilliant way, religious communism, without even using force to keep people in line. Thanks, Rick.
Well, always good to hear from you from Australia. Thank you, Tim, for checking in. Boy, we get so many people calling in. Let's go to 707. 707.
Oh, thank God. I've been waiting 55 minutes. Anyway, Rick, I wanted to tell you, 4 months ago, I talked to some brothers, at a cart, and I asked God to, what can I say to them, right? To the guy, because I talked to the guy a couple weeks before. He showed me they eating my flesh and drinking my blood, right? And so anyway, there was 3 guys there, and I told them, if you don't eat his flesh or drink his blood, you will not live. Now, could you imagine them hearing that now? They're going to remember what I said.
Well, they probably would.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah,
they probably would remember that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they're going to remember what I said. And they knew exactly what I was talking about. And then that one guy said, talk to us. And they knew I was disfellowshipped. But they were talking to me anyway. And stuff. And I just was telling them all kinds of stuff. And then they asked me, the one guy asked me, whose righteousness are you under? And I said, I'm under Christ's righteousness. I have none. So I am under his righteousness. That's what makes me, make it.
Well, good for you.
To me, it's a good answer to them.
Well, it's not a good answer.
They just kind of look at me like, whoa.
Well, that's what they would do. But thank you. That is a good answer. You did a fine job.
Yeah.
Did a fine job. That's good.
I didn't say it's because I did it.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm under Christ.
Because
when we accept him, God doesn't see us. He sees his son.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, no doubt. I mean, you're connecting with all of this, and we want to thank you for dialing in, sister. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, well, we appreciate you calling in.
But I couldn't bear not to call in after you were talking about that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
The Lord was saying, call him.
Well, thanks.
We just made you do that.
Well, good for you. Well, thank you. All right, well, let's move on. Let's go to 817. Go ahead, 817. You're on with us, 817.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, I agree with you. My name is Max, and I believe for sure that they're going to change that because Jesus said all that partake and are baptized basically are anointed, and He is the mediator of all. I mean, the Bible's very clear about all that. So that being said, that proves it right there that everyone is of the anointed. If you're a believer and baptized, you are of the anointed, period. Now, the question I have is, where do you go? And everybody naturally thinks, oh, well, you're anointed now, so you're going to go to heaven. My question is, why? Why would you need to go to heaven? I mean, think about it. What logical reason would there be for anyone going to heaven? To do what? What does God need us to do for Him in heaven? Could He possibly, He or Jesus, need us to do? They got billions and billions of angels that.
Whoop, we lost him. Oh, let's bring him back. I'm sorry.
And why do they need us? For what reason?
Well, when we stop and think about it, maybe that's something a lot of witnesses would think about. But, God really knew us. I don't want to get into too many scriptures here tonight because we don't preach on Saturday night. But so what you're saying, why is it that they would need us in heaven? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah. So, in other words, this has been a plan of God's from the very beginning, that those who would follow Him and want to understand Him and worship Him would have an opportunity to be in the kingdom. Now, that's the kingdom of God. Is, if you look at the Christian world, they accept it as a heavenly hope, a kingdom of God, not a paradise earth. But that's not to say the king. Well, we don't want to get into a lot of scriptures here tonight, but it's a good thought. But what do you think? What do you think about all? Hold on one second. We got to mute some people here. Hold on one second. Okay. So, what's your area code, sir? What's your area code?
817.
All right, we'll keep you on. We got so many other people coming on here. I got to just look at the screen here to make sure.
Hey, Rick, can I adjust my statement from earlier?
Hold on just a second.
Well, hold on. Yeah, let the 817 finish his thoughts. So the question would be, why is it that witnesses would rather be in heaven than earth?
Or why would God want them to be?
Well, I mean,
that's the real question.
That is the Christian message. The Christian message is not some paradisaic earth. The Christian message is those that want to believe in God and understand the message of Jesus in the new covenant will be brought into the kingdom of God. It doesn't really suggest it's a paradise earth, but it could be. In other words, wherever God is where these people would be in the kingdom. So,
well, that's from when Jesus was here. That was the message. But what about Abraham and Moses and all those faithful men? They were not taught that they were going to go to heaven.
Well, there are scriptures that show that even Abraham spoke about a heavenly hope. But I'm not going to get into all this tonight because it's not going to. If you really want to get this discussion going further, join us tomorrow, which will be 6 screens. Yeah, it's call on Sunday because I don't want to. I don't want to get into the scriptures here tonight. We don't really do it. But call in Sunday. I got an excellent answer for that. But I'm not going to do it tonight. Okay. Well, thank you.
I'll call Sunday.
Call Sunday and we'll get into it because I don't want to get into scriptures and what have you tonight. But we had to bring it up tonight about the 144,000. 403.
I think that's great though. That changes everything.
Oh yeah. Well, you tune in tomorrow and we'll have more information on that because we discuss it a little bit deeper. 403, you're with us. Go ahead, Calgary, Alberta. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Rick. Brian here. Say, I was just going to respond to the gentleman that was on, but that's all right. I just phoned in mostly to listen on the phone. So, but there's a couple answers to the question that he just posed. I'll try and tune in on the program tomorrow as well, and I can give my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. Yeah, on Saturday night, Brian, I hate to say it, but we have a lot of people listening in tonight because we feel that changing the doctrine on the 144,000. So.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing then. Like, I just barely called in. So what was? Pardon me, but I didn't hear what the.
Yeah, in fact, what you want to do is when this is uploaded to YouTube, go back and go in about, I'd say, an hour, hour and a half. And I want you to hear the discussion that we did bring up tonight. The Watchtower is, at least in my way of thinking, getting ready to change the doctrine on the 144,000. You'll hear all about it. People are calling in. So give that a shot. It's going to be uploaded. Yeah, so when this is, when we shut this down tonight, it'll be uploaded. So sometime between now and, say, tomorrow, just take a listen about an hour and in. Yeah.
So Rick, I'll do that. What are the rest of the programs tonight?
Well, we have Dick Boogie coming in later on here tonight in about 20 minutes or so, and then we have Gilbert Gonzalez coming in from Arizona with his brother. So we have a full program. So we'll go probably to about 2 or 3 in the morning. Yep.
Alrighty. Okay. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Brian. Okay. All right. Well, let's we'll have to end it there. Gonna end it.
Zachary.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Yeah, go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry. Yep.
While I've been listening to the program, but I also read those 3 paragraphs 9 through 11, and I had to say, in reading them, I would not be able to suggest that they plan to change to a one-class system. It looks like they're still sticking with their 2 classes. The rest of mankind, and there's that little flock. It does not look like the rest of the witnesses will get to be in with that.
Well,
according to when I read those 3 paragraphs.
Right now, did you notice in paragraph 11 that they did not? They talked a little flock. They talk about they don't mention the term 144,000. Did you notice that?
Right. It says he was not referring to a chosen few, a limited number, as he did later during the Lord's evening meal. So they're contrasting that 33 CE situation to when he was discussing something in 32 CE. In the 32 CE situation, it was a much broader group of people. In 33 CE, when he was talking to the little flock people. It was a limited number, a chosen few. That's what they're saying. So
Well-
I'm just saying, from those 3 paragraphs, I would not be able to suggest to someone else that they're going to change their system from a 2-class system.
All right. Did you notice the bold the bold word anyone?
Yes. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. The bread that I will give is my flesh in behalf of the life of the world. Yes.
Why would they put that anyone in bold?
You know, I think about a song that we used to sing in the 1966 yearbook, songbook, and it was called The Bread from Heaven. And I think that the concept they're putting out right here at the end of paragraph 11 was expressed in that song. And it did affect everybody.
Well, see, what we've always talked about here, Zachary, on the 6 screens, the Watchtower and what all cults do is they tell you before they tell you, then they tell you while they're telling you, and then they tell you what they told you. I'm picking up here. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm picking up here that the Watchtower is telling us something ahead of time. I'm picking up they're telling us ahead of time, and then they're going to tell us what they told us. It's just my own thoughts, but like I said at the outset.
I can understand your feeling. I can understand that. And it's like I still got my eyes open to see, because who knows what will happen. You know?
Yeah. Well, we don't know. So that, but I told people don't take it to the bank and cash it. I mean, it's my own thoughts. Yeah, I could be totally wrong, but I'm going to go 70%. I'm going to go 70%. We can only see what happens. We only see what happens. Thank you, Zach.
It's been an excellent discussion.
Well, thank you. No, in fact, I'll tell you what. I'm looking at our YouTube viewers. It brought in a lot of viewers tonight. People wanted to hear about this. It's unbelievable. But Zach, always good to hear from you. And, who knows when the Watchtower doesn't give us, we just have to be like the CIA is how I explain it. We have to extract intelligence. Some of it might not be right, but you at least have to have your heads up and say, well, this might be going on, might be not going on. But I mean, they're undergoing tremendous change right now. Zachary, thank you.
I agree. All right.
All right. Well, folks, what we're going to do here, we're going to go Dick Boogie here very shortly in Constance. But before we do that, we got the duck. Now, no one said the secret word tonight. And, I listen closely. I can't listen as closely as I'd like to, but no one did mention the secret word tonight. So what I'm going to do is give some clues. And I want you to win some prizes. We got books, we got magnets, we got T-shirts. We want to give this stuff away. We got $100 prize for the first person that gets to 100 points. We give points out. So what we do is we're gonna ask you a question, try to find out what the secret word was. We're gonna give you some clues, find out what the secret word was, and then take a point. If you get the secret word, after the Jeopardy music stops, we'll play that. Then you can take a point and then hold on to that point. You'll have to keep score on it. But the first person that reaches 12 points gets $100. So we'll stay on the honor system. But you can also get a magnet for 2 points. You can get a book for 5 points. We get different gifts here. So why don't we ask some questions here tonight and see if you guys can at least win some prizes. I know we got a lot listening in here tonight to the 6 screens. So let's go with this first. Well, we know Freddie Franz, and we know he had a bodyguard. Can someone please tell us the bodyguard's name? Wait till the music stops, and then what we'll do is see if we can get a point. What was the bodyguard to Fred Franz's name? Okay, what was the bodyguard's name? I'm surprised, but we get a lot of people listening in tonight. What was the bodyguard of Fred Franz's name? I'll give you his first name. You give me his last name. His name was Nathaniel. What was his last name? No. Bodyguard to Fred Franz. What was his last name? Nathaniel. Well, we stumped the people here tonight. Nathaniel Salith. All right, so we didn't have anyone get that. So let's move on. We want you to win some prizes. We really want you to win some prizes. I'm surprised no one knew that. A lot of this stuff isn't, maybe it's not of common knowledge, but that was his name. All right. So let's see what we got here. Okay. All right. Who wrote the book? Don't answer till the music stops. Who wrote the book, Jehovah's Witnesses in the Problem of Mental Health? All right, who wrote the book, Jehovah's Witnesses and the Problem of Mental Health? His first name was Jerry. I'm surprised people don't get this. It really amazes me.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
I know it, but I looked it up.
You looked it up? Well, yeah, that's kind of cheating. All right. So.
Hey, at least I was honest. I didn't even say the name.
Well, you were honest. I almost want to give you a point for that, but I'm not, because I don't want to discourage. I don't want to encourage dishonesty. All right. So let's go at 714. Did you have an answer on that, 714? Who wrote the book? Jehovah's Witnesses and the problem with mental health. Okay.
I don't know. Rutherford?
No, not Rutherford.
Charles.
Well, he was a doctor. Dr. Jerry. Boy, I'm surprised. I'm stumping people tonight. I can't. Dr. Jerry. It begins with a B.
I think it's Bergman.
Yeah, who said that?
Or
Nicole. Okay, Nicole, take a point. Send me. Well, we don't need your address right now, but take a point. When you get 2 points, you get a magnet. 5 points, you get a book. 12 points, you get $100. Okay, so take.
And if I'm at 4 points, can I do 2 magnets?
Yes, you can. You want 2 magnets?
Of course.
You get 4 points. You'll send me your email, where you live, and I'll send you the magnets out. jwworldnews@gmail.com. And Nicole, you'll get the magnets. So Watchtower, collect the magnets, put them on your refrigerator, and boy, you'll be always ready to defend yourself against the witnesses. All right. So let's go.
Let me repeat that email. So it's W World News.
Yeah, I'll go slow. It's JW. Okay, you got it. Well, thank you, Nicole. Always good to hear from Nicole. That's good. All right, so let's go back here. Let me just get this set up here for us. And well, that's not it there. Let's move back here. All right, so let's ask the next question here. All right, so let's go with this. New Light Doctrine. Oh my goodness, you think that's so much connected with the witness world? New Light Doctrine. The light will get brighter. Well, who else uses this doctrine of the light getting brighter? Who else uses that? No? I'll give you. Eric, you got it right. Take a point, Eric. The Mormon. Yeah, the Mormons. Okay. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's not correct. I'm sorry. That's not correct. I'm sorry. I'm looking here. My wife came up with these questions, my beautiful wife, but she kind of wrote it in cursive, so I missed that one. But it's not the
Adventist.
No, not the Adventist. Who else uses the term? No. Nadine, I want you to get it. I want you to win $100.
I know.
I'm trying to get you to win $100. That there is another group. It's a strange group. Maybe I'll give some clues here. Okay. This group wears an apron. Huh? No. This group wears. No, not the 2x2s. This group wears an apron.
The Shakers.
No. They the highest order. They wear an apron. It's very secret.
The Masons.
Who?
Masons.
Okay, Jack, you weren't first, but the man was before.
I was.
No, you weren't. So that man right there, 864. So
I'm trying to get a couple more points so I can sell some off to Nadine, baby.
yeah. So take.
Oh, I'm not buying.
So that brother that was on there, take a point, brother. Take a point. That brother before Zach. Yeah, Robert, you're good at this. You and Nadine, you seem to be the champions. We might have to have you come on and do a kind of a trivia challenge here. All right. So would you love that? Well, I think we'll do it because you guys are the champions so far. All right, so let's go with this. Give yourself a point, Robert. All right, so let's go with this. Judge Rutherford and Fred Franz, when you stop and think about it, they had, I'm having a hard time reading this. Hold on one second. Judge Rutherford and Fred Franz. Okay, who was it that was teaching them? Who was teaching Judge Rutherford? Where'd they get their information? Judge Rutherford and Ray Franz. Okay, who was teaching them? Who was giving Judge Rutherford and Fred Franz information to write in the Watchtower?
The Holy Spirit.
Nope. Nadine, come on now. I'm rooting for you, Nadine.
Raven. Raven.
Who? Well, I'm going to give you some clues. Listen to the clues. All right. Someone was teaching Rutherford and Franz. It's a known fact. Now, they had wings.
The angel?
All right. I think that, Zach, I think you got the angels. Was that Zach?
It was that.
Okay. Says.
I really was ahead of you.
No, Nadine, he was.
We should play it back.
Well,
It's like the NFL. We got to have the refs come in and play it back.
Yeah.
So now I got 4 points.
All right, you get 4. You're getting up there. But how many points you?
12.
And 12 get you 100.
12, you'll get $100, right?
Yeah. So
anybody want to buy my 4 points from me?
no, you can't. You can't sell them.
Okay.
So Nadine, how many points do you have?
I have 7.
All right. All right. No, Zach did say it, Nadine. I'll be honest with you. I certainly, I'm on your side. I want you to win. I want you to win $100. Yeah. All right. So now let's go. All right. So here's the next question. Let me see if I can get this right. All right. What belief? Hold on one second here. What belief do Jehovah's Witnesses share with the Mormons? Well, that's kind of a vague question, I guess. So let me just kind of break it down a little bit. There's a belief that Jehovah's Witnesses have with the Mormons, and it has to do with Jesus and who are the Jehovah's Witnesses. And this question I'm not sure of. I'm going to let this question go. This question I'm going to ask my wife where she got that. We'll see how that is. But let me ask you, I'm going to make it a simple one. I'm going to make it a very simple one. So Nadine, I want you to get the point. I'm rooting for you, okay? All right. So here we go.
Let me make sure I'm not cheating. Did I get 2 points just now or just 1?
I get 1 point. Yep.
Oh, then I only have 3 points.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give 2 points for this one, but you got to be quick on the draw. This is worth 2 points. So Nadine could really up her score here. Okay. When ex-Jehovah's Witnesses think, let me just get my Jeopardy clip up here. When ex-Jehovah's Witnesses think of San Diego, what do they think of? Don't answer till the music's over. All right.
That's
Serene. I said it.
I think I was first again.
I said it first.
I have to. I tell you, I try to listen in very, very closely. I try to listen very, very closely. I think Nadine's got it. I might have to. Yeah, I think no. No,
it's not you, Nadine.
Nadine, give yourself. No, Nadine's got 2 points. I'm just looking. I'm the umpire. You know, the umpire. What the umpire does, He might not see it all, but he calls what he sees. So I did see Nadine first. Nadine, give yourself 2 points. Well, 9 points. Maybe next week you can win 100. You know. I know. I'd like to. All right. That was a really easy one. That was a good one. Well, I tried to make it easy. My wife. I said to Susan today, Susan, come up with some nice questions. My goodness gracious, she got me baffled here. She's got some really hard questions. So we have to throw an easy one once in a while. But I want to thank Susan for coming up with those. Well, thank you, Nadine and Zach and all those people that played the game today. They love the duck game. Well, now tomorrow we get 6 Screen Sunday, but don't head for the mountains. Why don't you guys join us tomorrow for 6 Screen Sunday? You know, we're not going to overload your donkey with scriptures, and we talk about theology. No, that'll be tomorrow, beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We talk about theology and false teaching in the Watchtower. 1 o'clock, we have a program, Knowing God After Leaving the Watchtower. And then at 2 o'clock, we have ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their story in the Watchtower with Anne Marie, and you'll hear some interesting thoughts about what happens with witnesses when they leave the Watchtower. And then at 3 o'clock, we do JW World News Sunday edition, and the Christian Court comes up at 4. What a program that is. Peculiar questions Christians ask. We're going to talk about that tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And then 5 o'clock, if you have questions after leaving the Watchtower, Jay Hess, he was once associated with the writing department of the Watchtower. He'll be on tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So why don't you join us? And we'd love to have you tomorrow. Friends, I want to thank you very much for coming in here tonight. We had a lot of people come in. All those people commented on Facebook and YouTube. We really thank you for doing that. Friends and those calling in, that really makes a big difference. It helps so many people to find the exit door of the Kingdom Hall. So stay with us. We got more programming coming up. We got Dick Boogie and Constance coming up tonight. And then Burning the Midnight Oil will be our good friend Gilbert Gonzalez with his brother. Thank you very much for being in with us tonight. Let's end the program here. We'll go to... Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.